that Bo?
Yeah, I think it is.
Bro, look at him go, man. He's just tearing through those chips like he tears up solo queue. Do you hear that he got like rank 1 on the server, like just after joining the server?
Wow, yeah. Super crazy.
Yeah, you think that's cool? But do you hear about the book?
The book?
Rumor has it that if you grief him in lane, if you troll him, if you get on his bad side, hell, if you even look at him funny, he's gonna write your name down in the book. Do you wanna know what happens if your name gets written?
But you mean in game, right?
No, bro, I'm not talking about in game. Oh no, I know he's looking at us. Bro, I think he's writing our names in the book. This is bad. This is bad. Daniel, why did you look at him right now?
I didn't know. Oh God, this is bad. I'm sorry.
Aww. Could have been a friendship. Could have been, who knows?
They ruined it. Benny is spreading these wild rumors, and it comes back to bite him. He missed his opportunity.
Yeah, Bowie had a great introduction to the LEC. In fact, in major region win streak of 11-0. And today he's facing Jankos, which is really, really nice. When it comes to Bo, I guess he was one of the most talked about players coming into the league, and I feel like he kind of lived up to that.
Yeah, I mean, just right out of the gate, we got that level 2 gank. It was a little different style than maybe we were expecting, but just to clarify that 11-0, 10 of those wins were in the LPL.
Yes,
so
yes.
Pretty impressive stuff.
Actually, more impressive, probably.
Yeah, probably more impressive
than
than
one
win in the
victory
LEC.
for LEC outshines 10 victories in LPL.
True.
Dacta's not here. We take these right now.
So, Vitality up versus Heretics. I feel like they mirrored each other's strengths and weaknesses yesterday, Goldberg. Is that correct?
I would agree with that statement too. I felt like the early game, you talked about both at the level 2 game, that set Vitality up for a great start in that game. But the early game went well, but where it started to fall apart from them was in the mid game, where Fnatic started getting a lot of objectives for themselves. In Heretics game, though, they really struggled in the early game against Astralis. Jankos was pushed out of his own jungle. He got first blooded. Astralis was running away with the entire game. But then it was through the mid game and really good skirmishes and team fighting that Heretics started coming back. So there's a little bit of a mirror matchup in terms of, oh, well, not mirror matchup, but a mismatch, exactly, where they kind of play into each other here.
We also got to listen to the voice comms of Vitality in a very important skirmish in the mid lane, and I just wanted to pull that up again so we can listen to it, so we can learn about how the communication works in that fragmented team. Let's listen.
I'm coming again though.
Yeah. I think enemy support will come here.
Yeah, I think we win. But we can't flash either, so we can actually
Varus can be there too. Varus can be there too. I push
yeah,
back.
Coming. Careful.
Care Varus.
I go TP. Can we fight?
I will chase. Yeah. Give me the flash.
Can you? You guys can?
No. Go. Oh, maybe. I can't. Oh.
It's fine. Back home.
Nice.
I will level up. It's fine.
I can go top
I
here.
have to go top. Yeah. You can base. Oh, you go top? Maybe?
Yeah.
What's really crazy about this play is the fact that you look at that and it looks like a play that's really well, perfectly set up, because Perkz is shifting up towards the top lane after, Photon's not even dropping a wave. But what's crazy is the fact they're not talking about any of that. This is just players with pure instinct who's popping off in a team fight or in a setting where they can see the play and it works for them. So it's crazy to see, despite the communication not being there yet, for Vitality, the individual and raw skill of the players is really just taking them across the finish line.
I would say in a certain way, like, the communication is there in the simplicity, right? Because there's like the obvious comms, like, I'm teleporting in, but then also like, can you chase? Like, I can or I can't, you know, good emote there. But like all over, and then within that, right, within the very simple comms, everyone's sort of pushing the limits, understanding what their characters can do. And that was what was so impressive, to turn a losing play where Perkz gets picked immediately into one that looks looked really good for Vitality.
Yeah, Perkz also said in PGL, this is actually what we want it to be like. Even if we evolve more, that means we're already at a certain point. But he says clean comms and less comms are actually the ideal comms when it comes to if you want to play these fights like this. And I tend to agree with him, but it all has to work out, of course. Let's take a look at their opponents in Team Heretics. And I want to highlight Ruby in the mid lane. I think maybe he wasn't talked about as much because we were all talking about Jankos joining this team, but also a very impressive debut on this side.
Yeah, we were basically calling him the last airbender or the avatar behind the scenes just because he's been through 4 different regions now to finally make it here and just master a skill from each region he's been in. But he had an impressive performance yesterday. He had the Cassiopeia into the Ryze matchup, which is usually favored towards her, but it's just kiting out in the mid game that really worked out well from him against the composition. And there's so many times where it looked like he was going to die in an unfortunate skirmish, and he either just won or traded 1-for-1 in it. He had an amazing performance yesterday.
Yeah, I remember that one like bot lane fight where he's like 2 players running down and he's able to trade out. It was really, really impressive. And I think that's a great sign for this player to show that you have like that team fight style in the Cassiopeia that you can play back into. I hope we get to see another look for him as well, because he is a guy that can play all the different styles in mid lane for his team. You know, he's a new player, he's a new name to a lot of LEC fans, but has been around the world playing League of Legends.
Absolutely, and now he gets to play in the most fun region in the world.
Oh yeah!
The LEC, and we'll head over to our casters, and I know the camera's not that high, but show off the pants, Drakos.
Yeah. They're high. High-waisted. Look at the pants. It works. If you're a boy with thick thighs and hips as I am, you just hide them by making your pants go higher. That's some fashion tech for the men out there. Genius. AKA the Harry Styles. Welcome. We'll stop talking about Harry Styles. We'll start talking about the game in front of us. It's exciting. Both of these teams, very interesting games yesterday. For Vitality, it kind of feels like they stole a win to a certain degree. For Heretics, really rough early game. Jankos getting solo boloed, Finn kind of disrupting his pathing so much level 1. We'll have to see what they can do this time around as we once again get ready to meet the players. So it begins. There we are, looking adorable, posing behind their chairs. The players now don their headsets and get ready for the game. I gotta say, Caedrel, before we begin, gotta throw in some trademark LEC narrative.
Hit me.
Jankos versus Perkz, brothers facing each other off, fighting to the death.
The 2
drama. If this was a best of 5, you'd hear us talk about it a million times. It's a best of 1 in the second day of a brand new season, so it's not as significant, but you know that it is still a little bit personal for these boys. Wouldn't be surprised to see some all-chat action.
Wow, and we're in draft already, so let's see what they've got cooking. Obviously, I think a lot of people yesterday were excited for Bo specifically, you know. They talked about it all yesterday, about how he's been tearing up solo queue and he's undefeated. I think the game overall was pretty good. Not a huge shining light in terms of just complete 1v9 performance. He got his Graves. Does Heretics want to take away that Graves? Does Jankos have an answer? Because I think that's something he'll find comfort on. And comfort's key in week 1. We'll see if Perkz can fill the role of a more supportive style. We saw the Ryze. We saw him trying to roam around the map. Wasn't very successful, but the idea behind it was good in the sense that he will always lean to his younger side to make sure he can get a lead rather than push out extra waves. So we'll see if he does that again.
Yeah, Vitality's game yesterday versus Fnatic was thrilling. There were so many kills, there was so much back and forth. It was definitely not the cleanest game from either side, so I'm curious to see what Vitality's game plan is coming into today. Obviously, the start of their game versus Fnatic super good. That creative level 2 gank from Bo was a pleasure to see, but Jankos again, first blooded yesterday, but known traditionally, first blood king, another hashtag narrative for you. So I want to see what his early game looks like, because obviously I feel like he's at his best when he has a champion that can just impact his lanes as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah, Sejuani comes to mind here. Are they going to ban it away here, Vitality, or first pick it? It doesn't sound like a Bo champion to me, but there's the Ryze ban onto Ruby. I feel like taking away Vi and Maokai is one thing, but then leaving open Sejuani for Jankos on 1-2 is quite an easy escape avenue for him. So we'll see what happens in the jungle picks. Lucian's taken away. Yuumi is still up. So they can go for some kind of Zeri Yuumi here if Vitality want to first pick it. I'd be surprised if they don't take it away. They're going to go for the Heimerdinger ban. So does Vitality first pick the Yuumi? Is that something they want to go for? They could also go for the Zeri and then just take the Lulu or the Yuumi. Does make it easier because, of course, if you take away Yuumi, they take away Zeri Lulu, then now you have to play some kind of Sivir lane.
Yep, I like this. I think the heads-up play overall to grab the Zeri as the first pick. See what the options are now from Heretics. Probably just lock your bot lane here. Would love to see some early prio on a jungle lane. Kalista would be a much more aggressive option.
Classic.
Berlin, I love how much you love the thumbs up already.
Wow, we've got a Kalista Wukong instantly locked in. They don't care about the range support. They're going to let them have the Yuumi or the Lulu and play some kind of Nautilus or Leona on 3, you have to imagine. Amumu is another good champ that works well with the Kalista. A lot of team fight already for Heretics, a lot of early game push. There's the Sejuani. Is Bo going to go for it? Yes, he is. He's going to go for a tank jungler. Will help his team set up, and I'd be surprised if they don't pick the Enchanter now. Are they going to go for Photon's Jax? Yes, they are. Sejuani Jax locked in. Now, does Heretics respond with picking their best support and banning out 2, or do they respond to the top pick in something like we saw Wunder's Gragas into the Jax? Did get solo killed, but it's a good matchup overall. Just body slam as soon as he jumps in. You can also go for things like Gnar, Fiora if you want to be looking at skill matchups.
And Gnar, traditionally a very big cumber pick of Evi's, did have a pretty solid showing on the Cassante yesterday. 1 or 2 difficult moments, but it was able to get solo killed, find solo kills. Was a successful day. Now as we enter the second ban phase, pretty much matched on both sides. The support pool wide open. This is where you have to feel that the Lulu and the Yuumi can be taken away by Heretics, and then suddenly the options look a lot less good, whereas Kalista has a ton of viable, aggressive pairings that are still up and available.
Will they ban the cat is the question. The crowd wants it to happen.
I'm sorry, wait, who has the please pick Yuumi sign? I thought that was not allowed.
There's an imposter among us.
How did that guy's the imposter? We found him.
I saw him vent.
3 years of Among Us later, we found him.
So there's the Renata ban. Kalista Renata, fantastic pairing. Wouldn't be surprised to see some kind of a Mumu or Nautilus ban. It depends how much they value support counts, because if you ban Lulu here, then it makes it a bit harder in terms of blind picks for Kaiser. Or do you value mid counts picks? Syndra is still up, which is very powerful with a champion like Wukong. Galio is something that Europe hasn't seen just yet, but is also quite strong. It's going to be an Akali ban from Heretics. That signals to me that they do want to look for some kind of Syndra blind pick.
Leaving the options open. What Perkz' preference is going to be. Curious what the engaged support pairings look like for Zeri. I've gotten so used to just Lulu or Yuumi that I've kind of forgotten what else she works with.
It's been years since we've seen another support with Zeri.
I assume Nautilus, because he kind of works with everybody, but I'm ready to learn once again.
Cassiopeia ban, taking that away from Ruby. Surprised. Normally, Cassio's only really picked into a champion like Ryze because of his short range. You can trade a lot harder onto him. So now it's mid or support. Do they value counts pick on support or mid? I think Syndra blind is just the easiest option here. I don't think there's many incredible counters. I mean, Victor is normally the answer to it.
Yeah.
And I think the Akali ban is just to take away a melee mid that works with Sejuani. All that's left now is Sylas, but the ultimates aren't that good. But it's going to be Kalista Nautilus. Really good bot lane for all in. Does give Vitality the option of a Braum here. If they want to play Zeri Braum, I'm not sure how strong the lane will be, but just natural counter.
Yeah, Braum also paired with the Sejuani, paired with the Jax, paired with the Zeri. So much lockdown. It's going to make it so much more difficult for the Wukong to navigate these fights, for Cassante to navigate these fights as we move later in the game, especially for Kalista, a champion who's so mobile, who gets to dance around champs like Sejuani. Once a single concussive blows hits you, obviously gets so much harder. And well predicted, Caedrel. It will be the Braum in the end here, so a very defensive option on the bottom side, but now Perkz is going to have to select something.
I feel like a mage here is just best. Yeah, Azir, insta-lock. Simple and easy. I mean, they've got 3 melee champs now, so Sejuani's pretty happy with that, and 2 incredibly strong hyper carries for the late game. So rounds out Vitality's come quite nicely, whereas Heretics have a lot of early game and a lot of skirmish potential. They need more damage in terms of burst or picks. I think Syndra fits it, LeBlanc fits it, anything that can assassinate. Kassadin
okay.
Also works. Very skirmish heavy around level 11, I will say. Does scale incredibly well, of course. I think a lot of people will be spamming, you know, the little Monka W with the clock 16 inbound.
But I think it is important to note that when we play solo queue, we're used to level 16, the game is over, but pro play is not like that. If your Kassadin doesn't do anything until level 16, you have lost the game, or your opponents are not putting their hands on the keyboard.
To be honest, I want to criticize Heretics a little bit here. I think Talia last pick there, something that can push in mid and move towards this Nautilus lane and help the Kalista get ahead, would have suited it much better. The amount of dashes on Vitality as well would have been fantastic, but they've gone for Kassadin, so you've got this Kalista lane that, I mean, they can play towards in the 3v3, but it's not like there's going to be much help from mid in the early stages.
And I think it's just very clear that they want to go bot, right? That is essentially where that they've decided to put their eggs in the basket. They they've now got Kassadin, who can sit in that lane pretty comfortably, can sit fine in the early game. You've got a Kassadin who's probably just going to get pushed in most of the early game, and it just says to me that very telegraphed, very clear game plan to play around Jackspektra and Mersa.
Definitely, and the Kassadin's again double AP mid-jungle, so that's just a natural counter to that. Merc treads early, get the Rod of Ages, start stacking the tier, happy days. It will be incredibly strong later on, but we'll see how their game plan unfolds because their pressure is coming through bot, and I expect top lane to be in isolation, as it normally is.
Both these teams finding wins yesterday. Ruby, an excellent first showing on this stage. See if you can replicate that success picking up the Kassadin. We've only ever seen it in the hands of Certus. Did not look great, very low impact, but we know on paper how incredibly powerful this champion is in the current meta, but we have to see them make the efforts to make that happen. If you sit and you wait with this pick, yeah, Vitality, you're just going to take over the game.
Yeah, they are. Hopefully their bot lane is their bridge to that late game. And Vitality have a late game of their own. Azir and Zeri will be incredibly strong later this game goes on, so both teams have that insurance behind them. You know, they've got the early game, the Sejuani Braum, the Nautilus Kalista, but the insurance is there just in case they fall behind. A lot of wave clear as well. We're booting up, getting ready for the game.
Well, looks like there is a bit of a brief delay heading into game. Get you more context as we get it. I think there's just a quick lobby remake, some sort of the classic bug splat, you know what I'm saying? For all the OG League fans out there.
Remember when you had to type "there is no earth" level or something on the client to get back into it?
No, I don't remember that.
Don't remember that? You open the client and the server's down, you type in "there is no earth" or something and it gets you in.
Yeah. So there was a game crash as we went in, so they're remaking the lobby, same picks and bans, yada yada. All that means essentially is it's just going to take a minute, however long it takes the animations for each champion to get clicked and locked in and to redo the picks and bans appropriately. And you might be wondering, why don't they just ban random nonsense? Because for our stats team,
it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare to sort through the fake bans.
Brand was banned. Annie?
Brand was Annie?
1% ban rate throughout the entire year. It was pick or banned.
What do you mean they banned VIT XD? That doesn't make any sense.
TSM XD. They're memers.
Moments away.
Yes.
Obviously, first week, second day on stage, on top of, you know, the endless temperamental technology that just exists in the world. I mean, some small delays here and there, but we are moments away from game. I'm curious, this is the best part about what we've seen on the Vitality side, is I think we are now get to see, we saw Bo on a carry jungle yesterday in the Graves, now we get to see him on a tank. So if you are a guy, or a person rather, who's been excited about Bo at all, you now get to see both sides of the Bo champion pool. How does he play on tanks? How does he play on carries? The carries yesterday looked pretty solid. Again, nothing about the Vitality versus Fnatic game yesterday was super clean. You know what I mean? It was a scrap. It was a brawl. We have games that look like chess. We have games that look like pit fights. Vitality versus Fnatic was a pit fight. But we'll see if they can clean it up today and how Heretics can respond, because Heretics had a similarly difficult early game. A lot to give credit to Finn on the back of that level 1 invade from Fiora, just making it so Jankos really couldn't play the game, which was really good, which I think is a great call out. So I'm really hoping, from the Heretics perspective, that we get to see more from Jankos today, because that early game was rough. You know, first you get your flash burn, then you get solo boloed by 113 in his first game on a stage. Like that's difficult.
Do you know where Finn got that strategy from to just level 1 invade on Fiora? It was Morgan. Bro, in the LCK, just walked in and pushed him off his buff. Giga Chat,
if you don't watch LCK, Bro is their team tag.
Yeah,
but also Bro.
There's 3 undefeated teams in the LCK right now. T1, D+, Kia, and Bro. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But you're right. How is he going to do on a tank? He's got a lot of carries around him. Jax, Azir, Zeri doesn't take any kills, gives all the resources, gives up his camps. Definitely not something we're used to seeing from him, specifically from solo queue. But Photon on the Jax, I think he had a really good game as well yesterday. I mean, a lot of people talk about Bo on this roster. Photon coming in, I think, had a really good game. I don't want to say unsung hero, because I think he did get a lot of praise too, but I think he won the MVP. But yeah, fantastic game on the Jax. Incredibly powerful champ, super strong blind pick. Normally in the eastern regions of the LPL and the LCK, the counter, or the answer, I think is a better word, is things like Fiora, you know? The old answer would be something like Jace. You know, you just poke him down, he jumps on you, hammer form, knock him back, and you try to poke him down. And we see this in those regions. But here we're seeing things like Gragas. Now we're seeing the Cassante. And I think we saw Odoamne solo kill Broken Blade in this matchup, Cassante into Jax.
Yep.
So we've seen it swing both ways.
And I think the thing that is really exciting right now about top lane, specifically in the first few weeks, specifically on this patch, is that unlike the Ornn metas, where it's kind of, can you go even, and then what can you do in a team fight, we actually get to see a lot more of the individual laning prowess of these respective players in the first few days. And it's been pretty thrilling. I think Irrelevant definitely a player who surprised me despite his team's underwhelming results. And similar with Photon and Evie, these are guys where I didn't really know how they would stack up against the competition, but in both of their games, we saw really shining moments from each of them.
We did indeed. So, players just talking strategy. You'd imagine they're talking strategy, but you look at Jankos' face and his smile, and he's got this massive grin on his face. So I think he's done talking about his pathing and his game plan and his win conditions. He's just having a little bit of fun, getting a little bit of memes, and that's the power of Jankos. You have all this wealth of experience and knowledge, and no matter what's thrown your way, he'll know how to deal with it. But also in the little pauses or the downtime, he'll start screaming, or he'll say something stupid, and it'll make you laugh, and you'll feel a lot less stress in the team environments when there's someone having so much fun next to you.
I think my go-to in the pause, if like we needed to break the tension, and this could backfire, I'd be like, hey, would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? I feel like that always brings out the best in people.
There was a producer in my ear when you asked that question. So can you say it again? What was the question?
1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
I feel like 100 duck-sized horses.
I thought you were like really pondering. I thought you were like, wait.
No, I was like, wait, did he just say horses? Like, what? And then I was like, okay, I'll have to ask
the
it
best
again.
part is when a producer's talking in your ear and you miss entirely what your co-caster
and you're just like this, just
and
nodding.
you're just nodding, and the entire audience is like, dang, just like left you hanging. They'll never know.
They'll never know.
They'll never know.
Only you. Well, actually, will you know either? Well, yeah, you
maybe I won't. Maybe I'm just not funny. That's also acceptable.
You're very funny, man.
Thank you.
Also very handsome.
We're now remade and in draft, I've been told, which means, again, just waiting for some animations. In the meantime, we're going to look at scenic shots of players locking in the exact same thing they did just minutes ago.
Want to see me do it again? SpongeBob with the rock.
Want to see me pick Kassadin and make Caedrel mad? Want to see me do it again? I like the Talia angle. Is Talia actually good? I haven't seen a lot of her.
Yeah, Talia mid is being picked now and then. Just basically used. I mean, I think in the LCK it was Talia Elise. I think the plus Kia played that, where it was just pushing roam to side, dive, or Genji, someone like that. Some of the teams played it.
Yep. I like the roaming angle, and I definitely like the call out on just the sheer quantity of dashes. Because obviously, when you get to late game, her lack of an ult can sometimes feel bad, but I think it's more than made, or a damaging ult rather, it's more than made up for by the strength of that E Unraveled Earth, just because it's actually unplayable for so many champions in team fights if there's a Talia with E ready to go.
Yeah, and they have a melee support, right? So just one auto attack from Nautilus, it sets you up for your combo really easily. But they've gone for the Kassadin, a little bit more scaling, we've also seen that. I'm surprised we haven't seen Elise yet in the LEC. It's being picked a little bit over there, and I think Jankos is probably our best Elise player, our notorious
Historically.
OG Elise player.
But I look at Elise the same way I look at Jace, in the sense where it's one of those champions where you need to get value out of it. It's not like a you can get value out of it in the other game. It's like you have to get value out of it early on. And I think that historically, EU hates those champions. That's why generally up until this season, we didn't see a lot of Fiora picks. We didn't see a lot of Jace picks, because these are champions where you kind of, they do one thing and they do it well, but your team has to be ready to adjust to that.
There's the draft. Look, they finished the champion select.
I was going to ask production what Jack skin Photon was going to use, but now I don't. Thank you, camera team.
It's the orange god. What is it called? I don't know.
God staff.
Yes,
God staff
that one.
Jack.
Staff God Man Jax.
Staff God Jax.
That one. That's the one he's playing.
Staff
I saw it
boy.
just in the corner of my
Elder staff Jax.
I hope Bo's playing Poro Rider Sejuani. I think that is the best Sejuani skin.
That skin is so weird.
It's the best.
How did they get such a big Poro?
It's the best.
What?
Well,
where in the lore did that come from? I'm just trying to understand.
Maybe they poured. What's that thing called? The purple liquid.
What is it called?
In Arcane.
Juice.
The juice. It's not Hextech. It's
Slurm. What is it? What is it?
Everyone at home screaming the answer to us.
Been told to toss. We're about to get in the game. Let's go. Vitality versus Heretics. Welcome to the Kaiser Desk, where we can't figure out what the purple stuff is called in the show Arcane. Tweet at us if you know, because it's going to eat at me for this entire matchup. But in the meantime, we focus back in. Again, two teams coming off of rocky starts yesterday, but ultimately both able to grab the dub, and that's really all that matters in such a tight race format. Only 9 best of ones, 8 remaining, 7 after this bad boy. Some counting for you to start the cast. And already seeing the invade, trying to shut down Bo's pathing early on. We got 4 members in the area.
It's called Shimmer. Ender's come with a book. He's going to show us.
Shimmer, thank you. You're my shining light, Ender.
Just ran over from the
Ender
analyst desk
might
with
join us if there's another pause. Is that planned? Have producers approved? No, but that's generally how Ender segments work.
It's just going to happen, and you're going to let it happen.
Yep, okay.
There's just going to join the cast. There's a third headset here somewhere.
There you go.
I think it's next to me. Anyway, top side start for Jankos. Looks like, is Bo starting on Raptors on Sejuani? I think he is. Is that a W start? I haven't actually seen that before. Normally on Sejuani you start E, and then you single target damage buff into Gromp or something. We saw Malrang do red into top.
To be fair, did he take it when they invaded? Was he just trying to get the multi-man slow so he could walk away? Or I guess just clearing Raptors makes sense.
Yeah, I often when I've seen his solo queue games, he always does like start Raptors. I've seen him play Lee Sin, starts Raptors with E. Just makes it so the solo leash is a bit easier, because then you can go to Krugs and then go back to red. That's where you level up.
Also, when you have the AoE, it's a pretty fast camp to take, all things considered, especially if you're willing to burn smite. But he's held onto it for now. So now going to Krugs. Don't think we will see a level 2 gank from the Sejuani, but again, reminder, yesterday we said that, and then Malrang did a level 2 gank on Sejuani, so
yeah,
we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, Aftershock makes it hard. I think the phase rush is what makes the level 2 gank viable. Just helps you get in and out of fights quite quickly. But the Aftershock will help up against the Wukong. Both on early trading, going in his favor.
Very much so. Both with pots as well as cookies, though, so good amount of sustain on both sides. And bot lane normally has been just about who can push the other one out. A lot of Varuses, a lot of Heimers. This lane going to be a little bit different. Kaiser consistently going towards the more aggressive support options, and this time around, Heretics happy to match.
Looks like it's just going to be a full clear for both junglers. Normally it's 3 camps into play. You know, you do your bot side camps, you walk mid, you look for a gank, you try to find the enemy jungler, push them out. But if you go to Wolves, that's just a telling tale of a full clear. This is the power of Braum. You hook in, shield comes up, and you lose the trade because of the Q passive.
And another obnoxious thing about Zeri, obviously, can just Q and push. Ooh, Photon! Tower shot now coming out, blocking as much damage as he possibly can, going back in, just extending the trade a bit with the power of the counter-strike, but well played by Evie.
Nice pushback there. Knocks him with the Q3 and then pushes him back into the tower. Photon will heal up though, of course. The lower HP is, the more help you'll get from things like Second Wind if he's running it. Needs to crash this wave, which is a bit annoying. You know, when the ranged creeps are in this situation, when the minions die here, this is where top lane gets awkward, because if you walk up to last hits, you're in tower range and there's no minion to tank the tower shot for you, so you just have to stand there and watch these ranged creeps die. The bot lane keep on fighting.
Another hook, but you can see it really is just trading hook for unbreakable. Cooldown probably favors Nautilus at this point in the game, but as long as they don't get caught out too many times consecutively, it should be fine. Jackspektra burning through mana very quickly, it seems, just to keep the lane pushed out. Spotted here as Perkz just continuing to harass Ruby, but Ruby able to, I think this wave must have bounced back, and Bo in the area. Ruby gonna be in trouble. Slowed down now, flashing from Bo. Another kill, this man racking up first bloods. Perkz now on the run, it's brother versus brother, a stun now coming in. Jankos firing back on Mersa. Mersa now in the area, Bo now caught out, an advantage to Heretics as they grab the second kill.
Massive early play. Perkz will be able to TP in here, so I think he'll only miss the cannon minion, but it looked really weird from Heretics at the beginning because they knew Bo was on the top side and Ruby still walked up, but I guess the reason he walked up was because Mersa was first to the move, so they knew they would trade to an advantage state. So Flash is blown across the board on mid jungle. Mersa flashing forward to make sure he can lock down Bo before the Q comes up again. And Jankos pulling it off, forcing Perkz out, gets his Flash W's over the wall to get the kill. Great start for Team Heretics. Of course, they're running the Kassadin and they've won the mid jungle 2v2 now, pre-level 6.
This is big, especially because Ruby did go down there. It feels like you need to get something back. Ruby might still suffer in the individual 1v1 at this point, but was able to buy the tier. Can at least work towards something. But I think also just good for Jankos after yesterday's pretty miserable start that he was able to make that play happen. And shout out to Mersa for being quick on the roam up as the ward here spots this out.
Yeah, so Ruby will run down because he sees Jankos on the ward, but then he runs back up and he's a level 4 Kassadin, so I'm not sure what he expected to happen. He just wants to crash the wave. Jankos is here, but of course they're going to lose. But watch Mersa on the minimap. He's on the way up. I suppose they thought that if Perkz commits, he's going to die. I don't think Perkz needs to commit this hard. WEing over the wall straight on top of Jankos. I think Bo has the kill there. If he just plays a little bit more passive, I think it's just a 1-for-0 clean trade. As Bo is now top, Evie has the flash.
Evie obviously can just W through here, but they're going to body block as much as they can, and then he dashes out to safety. And this is the mobility of Cassante. As long as the Pathmaker is up, he can just pretty much get out of any small exchange.
Nice escape there. Doesn't have to use anything. Can TP back. I don't think the wave is in too bad of a state. I mean, the stacking, you should be able to push it in when Photon takes the base. And he should be able to crash that. Looks like Heretics, because they saw both top, have gone for the Dragon. They have the bot push, which is helping out a lot. The Kalista lane, as much as they're not playing towards it in terms of getting kills or blowing summoners, they're using it to allow Mersa to be first on the move. Kaiser is just kind of stuck in bot lane, helping Neon catch the waves, just constantly pinging that support's missing. Bo will be rewarded with a crab spawn, so it's not the end of the world for him. But the early Dragon stacking will pay off late in the game. Goes Ruby ticking over to that level 6, so despite not having the flash, very, very safe.
Mersa hooking out to safety. And I think this is the one thing about the Braum that's difficult. While it is compositionally very strong in the lane, obviously you just feel like you're perpetually on the back foot with this option. And Kaiser was able to roam significantly more in the early game in yesterday's game. But today, obviously, a little bit more limited in what his options are. For now, though, small gold leads across the board outside of bottom lane, where we got that nice kill donated over to Mersa, keeping him 400 gold ahead of Kaiser. But everywhere else, not really significant gold leads. These don't matter a whole ton, but we have to keep our eyes on some of these lanes to see how much further ahead Photon or Perkz is able to get.
Yeah, junglers in the current meta are very explosive around level 3 and then level 6, right? You know, Vi, Maokai, Sejuani, really, really strong at level 3 setup. But then level 6, they can also offer a bunch of tools in terms of getting ganks off. With Braum, Sejuani, you can take any skirmish whatsoever after level 6, even pre-level 6. So we'll see if Vitality start looking for fights, maybe start invading onto Jankos' Grump would be the easiest direction to go for. Herald spawning in 45 seconds, could look for a push-out bot with Bo hovering around doing his red buff, base together, and then start to force that objective, because they would love to fight Heretics with a Kassadin.
Certainly
at
would.
that time in the game.
And Ruby, obviously, yesterday, it was a scrappy game, but was able to have an incredible showing, a lot of individual standout moments on the Cassio, a very mechanically demanding champion. Huge damage. Will be hard to replicate on Kassadin this game, but can still look to have a similar impact. I think important that he does so not super soon. Obviously, Kassadin's always got a strong scaling element, but would love to see them leverage some of the skirmish power that they do have. But again, if they pick the wrong fight against Sejuani, against a Braum, Kassadin falls behind very nicely too.
Jankos looking for the gank. Photon jumps in, knockback comes in.
Trying to push him back to the tower, holding on for now. Unstoppable will leap forward. Dash in, waiting for the Q3. Ultimately not able to get a whole lot out of that, but do push Photon back, do get his flash.
So, this was on the Herald timer. They tried to chunk Photon out, they got his flash, they didn't use any ults. That's really crucial here, because Jankos and Evie still have ults to work with. Problem is, Perkz has so much mid-push because Ruby had to come from base. This chunk won't get them a Herald. Bot lane's moving up as well. You can see Kaiser and Neon on the minimap sprinting up. They really want to take this fight. If Heretics get sucked into this fight, this could be a disaster. They're so strong right now. No level 6 on either support. We'll see if Kaiser gets it off this mid wave. I'm not sure. He's halfway through, so he won't get it. Just going to push Ruby back.
Moving forward, and the Braum, obviously a nightmare for the Kassadin. No matter how slippery you are, auto attacks will eventually stun you.
So they decide not to take the fight. Smart choice, I think. Just go for bot plates, get Jackspektra ahead, and try to zone away the Zeri from bot tower for as long as possible. I think they'll get about 2 plates from this. Herald gives 1.5. I think Vitality should be able to answer, but it's the local gold of the objective, which will be the net win here. Neon will lose a couple creeps. And as expected, the play unfolds in just Vitality picking up the objective, and Heretics not taking the fight.
Yep. Gold ultimately will be relatively balanced out when the plays come through. It's going to be about what Vitality can do in the meantime. And of course, on the side of Heretics, if they want to capitalize on the flash being down in top lane, if Jankos wants to put more attention up there, could also double down on the small bot lane advantage that they have been building. But do feel like Heretics have the potential to make a bit more happen here before that flash does come up.
Blue buff handoff from Bo. Game will quiet down a little bit more. I think Heretics now just going to wait till level 11 before they take any kind of fights. Flash came back up now for Perkz, so really hard target to look for. And see if anyone decides to roam around the map. It looks like Mersa is the only real one with a move in the majority of this game so far. He's heading back towards bot, but like you said, the biggest vulnerability right now for Vitality is top lane, and I think Vitality will want to cover that.
So, alright. Wasn't sure if we were going to get flash, but it is Europe after all, you never know.
X-Flash is superior, just flashes over, puts a ward, and then runs away. Refuses to elaborate. He's looking for Neon.
Trying to find information.
Yeah, just deep vision. So many wards. No sweeper on Bo because he has the Herald, which makes it a bit tricky. So Kaiser will find this ward. W over, very smart. Neon just calling him over, saying, I think Nautilus warded around this area, pulls him across the wall.
It's the little things that matter in those circumstances. Not having information on where Bo is going to go. Could look to lane gank, but again, a little bit difficult here. Jackspektra with the cleanse as well as Kalista ult to save Mersa.
Drake's up in 38 seconds, so Heretics just trying to get as much bot side vision as possible. The question is, how does Vitality respond? Perkz looks like he needs to base and TP soon. Maybe he'll have his mythic. They have bot push, they have mid push. They need about 10 to 15 seconds to set up here, Vitality. They're going to have to use the Herald maybe on bot to push Heretics back. Just the question is, can Perkz join them in time? Because Ruby's first to the wave. Once he pushes this in, he'll be the first one into the Fog of War, which means they can't really put Herald down. So it gets a bit awkward, gets a bit tricky. But they definitely want to push them out. Perkz can now move, so the Herald likely to be placed, so they can actually start to force this. 3v3.
Wide.
Will it happen? Will Kaiser look for a Q forwards? Ruby's first, Perkz on the way, 4v4.
That Scryer's Bloom doing a lot of work there to spot out Ruby and any potential plays. Meanwhile, on the top side, the 1v1 pullback will not quite bring them under tower. Meanwhile, the fight now breaking out. Unbreakable is getting procced in the back line. Neon and Perkz aren't really doing much of anything already. One getting taken down on the top lane. Perkz now pushing two back. Mersa still in the back line, flashing out safety. Ruby still standing strong. What can he get done? Perkz hungry for blood. 2 kills going over to the side of Vitality. Kassadin will get one back in return, but Ruby's got nowhere left to go. 4-4 the kill score.
Sejuani Braum is so powerful at just singling out targets. First it was Jankos and then it was Mersa when he jumped in with the Kalista ult. When he falls, Jackspektra is so vulnerable, and then they turn to Ruby. But all the meanwhile, Evie solo kills Photon in the top side, gets his kill, and then he realizes his team is losing the bot fight, can't TP in, doesn't have the Unleashed teleport, but he will be ahead in gold. Dragon over to Vitality, 3 kills. The Zeri is going to start to pop off soon, doesn't have an enchanter by her side, but she has so much protection with the Braum and Sejuani.
Certainly does. What was originally a small gold difference in favor of Jackspektra on the back of those plates, now shifting over to Neon on those 2 kills. Double crit cloak. Oh, never mind, he sold one. Got a Vamp Scepter. I was ready, I was like, double crit cloak, let's go.
It just goes full psycho build.
Just GP things.
So I think Evie pushes him back into the tower again and then ults him perhaps. We'll see what happens. Q3.
Preps Q3. Gets the ult sim to bring him back to the tower. Q3 back, but doesn't get tower aggro.
So the ult buffer happens as Photon jumps. He lands, but then gets pulled back. And I guess that animation is similar to like Jace E. When you dash on top of him, he knocks you further than you would normally be knocked. So Bo goes in, incredibly tanky. Watch Jankos here. He's going to flash over, get a knock up, but then he gets pushed back away. This is where the single targets come in. Mersa is the first one. Has to flash away. Jackspektra has no cover. Jankos has to run. As soon as the stacks start coming in, if you get stunned, you're dead. And Neon is just the benefit of all of this, getting 2 kills, just dishing out as much damage as he wants. Here's the Herald in bot as well to get some plates before they fall off. This Zeri is going to be at about 1,000 gold ahead of the Kalista. Jankos running from base as quick as he can down here. Ruby's hovering around. He really needs level 11 on this Kassadin to match.
Such a difficult early game now. As we shift into the mid game, his towers are going to start looking to fall shortly. 1 plate left standing. 30 seconds till the plates fall, and then it'll be easy pickings. But that early lane, very strong. The pressure in favor of the side of Heretics, but Vitality in that skirmish just getting so much. 1,000 gold for both Perkz and Neon is huge. Additionally, when you look at that fight, I mean, there's so many little things that could have just gone better for Heretics, but ultimately, if you make any mistakes, again, against a Sejuani or a Braum, you lose the fight.
Yeah, Kalista, Wukong, quite short range next to the Kassadin, and the Azir can just hit them so far away, so they need to gap close. They need to get the Wukong on top of the Azir and Zeri, get the Kalista ult on top of them, maybe a Cassandra ult backwards into the team, whereas Vitality can just stay at range, kite back, hit the first target, nothing to stress over. Plates have fallen off. Not sure if Heretics can get that bot tower entirely. Maybe they can. See if they commit into it. I think they'll get engaged on the second they try to finish it off. It's just a question of, can Vitality get here in time and punish it? Jackspektra will back away, playing it safe, being respectful, doesn't have any summoners. If anything hits onto him, he's dead. Mersa can be a little bit more free to play more up with the Kalista ult, but I think now Vitality will focus this bot tier 1. They know that Team Heretics' bot lane has the base, they don't have a mythic, Perkz has mid push, hover down towards his bot side, they have to back off, first tower to the Zeri.
And this is, I've been informed by production, the first Chemtech Rift. If you don't know, the plants are all now
stronger,
jacked up, they do some different stuff.
That's what happens to the Poro.
Oh, it's Chemtech Poro.
Chemtech Poro, that's how she...
Radiation, man. Makes a Hulk, makes a big Poro. You never know what you're gonna get.
Makes plants do...
Yeah. The only one that really matters, there's like a bunch of different, slightly little different things. The only one that matters is that Blast Cone now throws you really far.
And it's fun.
And it's fun. Everything else, man, you know, whatever.
Halfway across
you get
the
a
map.
shield, cool.
Yeah, these little berries give you shields.
Whatever.
And
Big Blast Cone.
Big Blast Cone. And then the Scryer's Bloom makes you run faster towards the enemies when you see them. But Big Blast Cone.
Big Blast Cone.
So we'll see how they use it.
Let's see.
We'll see if Mersa
Observers, just masterclass. Here we go. Huge. Goosh.
Airtime.
And if you're like, guys, we've seen this. It's been in preseason forever. This is for the people that just show up for the LEC, you know?
Oh, geez. Just watching the LEC games who, I mean, maybe they haven't played preseason, maybe they haven't read the patch notes. There's people out there who do. Maybe you play ARAMs and you don't know where the plants are.
That's true. That's one of
saw
us
the
on this.
smile
One
on
of
your
us.
face.
One of us on this desk. Anyway, Vitality now going to grab an uncontested Herald. Of course, it is traded for a tower and more gold into the back pocket of Jackspektra, but this is a difficult situation to be in. They really need to capitalize on all this money that they're giving to Jackspektra. Sadly, he's still at an individual deficit despite all of that effort. And the Herald going to get used topside, breaking open another tower, mid the last tower remaining for the side of Team Heretics.
So I think they're heralding top to threaten a tier 2. I don't think they'll commit to it, but they're making Heretics respond to it, which means they'll get access to Dragon. We'll see if Heretics take the fight, because I think Vitality ideally just want to back off now and then move towards bot side.
And that was the speedy blast cone. Ruby and Jankos slightly faster.
Speedy. Yeah, the thing is, if you played League in like Season 2, Season 3, you still watch it, but you don't play it, you're kind of like, what the hell is going on
What
now?
are these plants?
What are these changes?
Why doesn't the map look terrible?
It's all green.
What happened to my terrible map?
It's been destroyed.
What happened to my RuneScape dragon? Why does the dragon actually look like a dragon now? What happened?
The Infernal Rift just destroys everything. The walls are gone.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's too much. Photon has a bot. Is that a TP coming in? Yeah, it is.
Here we go.
Pings on the ward. Here he comes. There's a match
Evie
straight
coming in. Instant
from
match.
Perkz.
Evie going to be here first. It looks like maybe just a trade of TPs. Evie just immediately going to get out there. Don't mind the play. So far, just a trade of summoner spells. But now, Heretics with 5 members in the area can look to contest this Chemtech Drake. 1-1 the Drake score, so not a soul for either side. But Heretics clearly ready for a fight. Kaiser leaping forward. Knockup now going to go in. They're trying to burn through Mersa as quickly as they can, forcing out the Kalista all earlier. Photon in the back line, finding the stun. Big damage now. Jankos trying to turn, but Perkz is untouched on the back line. Jackspektra has to be the hero. Jackspektra has to turn it. He's the last strong carry remaining, and he's trying to turn right back on Neon. This is his moment. The shutdown is huge. Jackspektra, the Kalista remains untouched. Ruby leaping in, leaping out, but Perkz will fire back. No, he can't finish the kill. Still, the Kalista standing tall. At the end of the day, he's pulling the spears out. He's making it work. It's a bloodbath.
It's all Jackspektra. We'll see if he's done just yet. The setup was fantastic. Perkz wants more of a fight. Mersa, can he find the hook? He's too low to go forward. Perkz gets
finding
him.
it. That's the killing spree. Bo trying to peel as much as he can for Perkz. No one can pull the spears out, but no. Oh, Perkz, the hubris. Yes, he got the shutdown, but he'll take the jungler down with him.
What a back and forth fight. Vitality struggling in the engage. All of them get knocked up. It's a bounce house, but Perkz saves them with the Emperor's Divide. They're able to chase in, but the fight is so prolonged and they chase for so much that Jackspektra just mows them down. So let's look at this again, because they go onto Mersa. They don't use any ultimates on him, I believe, because they know that the Kalista ults will come out, so they're being very careful. The Braum ult's actually used, but then he gets pulled out. Then they turn their attention to Evie, and this is where the knockups come in. Massive Kalista ult knockup, then the Wukong. Perkz then pushes them back, and it looks dire for Vitality. Everyone's dashing away, but then Evie takes Photon back. Jankos has to flash away, but it's Jackspektra here. Watch his flash instantly onto Neon. Saw that he made a mistake. He dashed way too far. And Vitality have committed now. They have to continue chasing this Kassadin. Perkz flashes over the wall, leaves his jungle support alone. Jankos sees the angle next to Jackspektra. Mersa hits the hook, and then they can stay together and push forward. The fight prolongs for so long that eventually Perkz finds Jackspektra, and he falls. But here's round 2.
Oh, give me a bell. Round 1. So close. So many low health bars. So many blinking health bars. Ultimately, Heretics coming out on top. Photon leaping in again. Evie unstoppable, bringing it back in. The dragon has now been taken down by Mersa. In the meantime, Heretics already grabbing the dragon, now trying to retreat. Mersa burn through. They don't have the Kalista ultimate. Perkz now pushing multiple members back. Evie trying to fight for his life. Photon ready to go back in, pulling him in. Jankos spinning to make sure his top laner can stay standing. Jackspektra immediately cut down. Vitality will not make the same mistake twice. They are going for the throat in this exchange. They will lose the Drake, but they will wipe Heretics off the map.
Oh, the range is too much. They can't commit past the Sejuani Braum. It's so difficult, and then when they do, they get pushed back by Perkz. Neon has the lethal tempo stacked up. Perkz is at arm's length, and Jackspektra can only do anything. He can't do anything. He just has to run away. He can't get any auto attacks in. He's slowed. He's knocked up. There's just too much for him to deal with. And as long as Vitality stay together, it's almost impossible for them to be broken. I think Heretics need to find flanks to try to split them up a bit. Ruby's trying to defend this mid-tier one. That'll fall. And Heretics did get the dragon, though. Mersa picked it up somehow. He must have used E and then just found that he slayed the dragon. But as long as Vitality stay together, Crown of the Shadowed Queen on Perkz. Look how far back Neon is as well. And once they commit, you'll see this massive ultimate from Perkz just push them all back. Too many tanks in their face. Jackspektra can hardly move.
Yeah, Mersa obviously doesn't have the luxury of the Kalista ult this time around, so it's cut down very early on. One single member taken out. Evie unstoppable, but now finds himself in the middle of the entire team. Has to flash safety. Love the second stack of the ultimate there just to make sure that Photon doesn't get pulled in by Evie's Q3. Ultimately not going to be enough to stop them from just getting really dissected at the end of this team fight. Only Ruby making it out alive.
Baron wasn't up yet. It was 30 seconds until the spawn when that fight happened, so not the end of the world for Heretics, but they're down around 4,000 gold. The Kassadin is scaling, yes, but Zeri, Azir are just going to get stronger and stronger. Highest gold in the game right now. Vitality looking for topside vision. Their Baron is really quick. If they have Braum, Sejuani hitting it with an Azir Zeri, that'll go down. Oh.
Finding 3 members in the bush. The blast cone denied. No matter how big the blast cone is, the CC will still interrupt Bo trying to make it safe. Perkz waiting over the wall. But who's stuck in with who? Ruby now running. Neon still standing for now. Neon trying to make it out safe. Jankos finding the kill. It is a back and forth. Ruby running to safety. The Ignite still taking Jackspektra, getting cut down in an instant. Perkz from over the wall with the Sand Soldiers making it count. Photon with the setup. Now leaping forward.
Perkz
will not
TP
find
bots.
the counter strike.
Big chase.
Perkz trying to find the flank. Ruby waiting for the cooldown to reset so he can get the cheap TP out to safety. Will not have enough time. Evie now being run down. 3-4 on the stacks. Perkz coming in to clean up. Vitality taking fight after fight after fight.
And that's going to be Baron. Neon is dead, yes, but there's 3 members dead on the side of Heretics. They have an Azir. They can just rush this down. All they need to do is be very careful about Jankos. Bow Smite coming up in 10 seconds. He hasn't based yet, but he has the plants next to Kaiser to heal up. And they should be able to secure this. Can Jankos steal? Mersa has 6 wards he can put down. Jankos has a pink of his own. There's a blast cone.
Flash, big blast cone. Mersa got the last one somehow.
Jankos has flash as well. He just needs vision in the pit. He sees it.
Photon going over. Gonna take the blast cone up into Jankos. Jankos has to be careful about using the W. Okay, now he has to commit the flash if he wants to get into the pit. But Photon is just generating so much space. Maybe they can get the pick. But no, the Azir will try to control by Jankos into the pit. Jankos wants to finish it, but no! It's too low! Ruby won't be able to make it in the pit either. He has to leap out to safety. It's an absolute disaster. They tried to contest, but Neon is now on the hunt. Mersa and Jackspektra able to walk away. Only Jankos will get taken down, but it's 5 members of Vitality wearing purple, looking strong. So far in the lead. 7K. This is going to be devastating.
The patience from Vitality there was exceptional. They left it at 2,500 for about 10 seconds, waiting for Photon to push Jankos out. And despite trying to push it down, they actually got it down to around 1.8k health because they thought Jankos was out. He then eased through and flashed over the wall. They all stopped damage instantly again. They killed the Wukong. So that was just really clean execution there from Vitality. You can't really fold Jankos. He was trying to kite and dodge around. But it all started with Bo just kind of walking in, getting vision. Vitality looking to put some wards topside to look for a Nash rush, but Heretics saw him move in, and then Mersa's hook here was great, but where's the damage? Stops the blast cone, yes, but hang on a second. Ruby
Caught out, stun gonna land. There's not enough TPs in the world to get away from that one.
You're playing 4 melee champs into Sejuani Braum. It's so hard to do anything against this composition of Vitality. Dragon's up in 45 seconds. Does Vitality care? It looks like Neon's pushing out top. They don't have a wave just yet. It's on the way though. They have a small mid-wave, they have an Azir tower they can put down. I think they're just going to look for objectives here, and if Heretics don't defend the base, then they're going to lose 3 or 4 towers, and if they do, Vitality have a free dragon, so it's win-win right now.
Vitality, so confident to keep this push going, even unaware that all of Heretics is shadowing underneath them, unable to move in. Well, now finally going to see Kalista, Jackspektra step into the mid lane to try to stop this push from happening, but I think it's going to be too little too late. That last creep still standing, cannon creep going in. They're not going to break an inhibitor, but Vitality continuing to extend their lead. Almost 10,000 from what was a neck-and-neck game, from what was a dragon fight favoring initially Team Heretics. Vitality run that fight back and then just keep winning exchange after exchange.
Relentless. Once they start rolling, you can't stop them. I think Heretics don't have any range, they don't have any wave clear, they have 4 melee champs. There's nothing they can really do. They just have to throw themselves on top of Vitality and see if anything sticks, see if they can find a target, but they haven't been able to. I don't think they'll fight this dragon. They have objective bounties. Top tier 1 looks like an easy objective. It's incredibly low. Maybe get the Kassadin towards 16 before the next Nash spawns is the idea, but they're running out of options. Vitality are just going to continue to snowball this game. Bot tier 2 is another easy objective. Push out mid, secure the dragon, join Photon on the next bot wave. That's another tower. So Heretics always trading from a disadvantage.
Kassadin, of course, does always have the late game potential. Has certainly not just been sitting there waiting to scale, but with the massive gold lead the Vitality have built for themselves, champion scaling items, it's just not going to be enough to turn this back in their favor. Evie unstoppable, but pulling the Jax in with him does mean that he's going to get stunned, tries to get his ult to get out of it, but it's just not enough. Vitality trying to kill every single person they see. They are so far ahead. It is effortless for them to find these picks. Meanwhile, on sideline, Ruby desperate to get anything back in this game to keep their hopes alive, but this is a 4.3k Baron power play as it starts to fade away. Vitality just looking like they want to end this game.
Yeah, Ruby's just pushing. He wants this tier 2 objective bounty experience on the wave. He's going to have the base now, though, because they can almost end the game. Evi's still dead for another 20 seconds. Ruby's on his way. Jackspektra has the Hurricane to help clear waves. Photon's going to get mid in him. It's a bit hard for Vitality to hit this Nexus tower. Walking up is still dangerous against the Wukong and the Nautilus, but we'll see if they can find it. 5 seconds on Evi. I think they're going to have to back away.
Can wait for the supers to come in, but this seems like it's going to be the stop. We've got third Drake for either team, so it's not a soul. It's not going to be massive. Baron up in 2.5 minutes. If Vitality get that, the game should end, but might not even need to with these 2 massive pressure points. That said, the longer the game goes, taking those inhibitors down does mean a lot more gold funneling into the pockets of Ruby or Jackspektra or Evi, depending on who's going to pick it up.
There's the Demonic Embrace on Perkz. I think he realizes that Heretics have no % HP damage in the sense that they can kill any of the front line. He's just the only target they can kill, so just be as tanky as possible. Crown, Demonic Embrace, and then he can slowly scale. How close is Ruby to 16? He's very close. One more wave. Is level 16 Kassadin enough to pull you from a 10,000 gold deficit? We're about to find out. It's incredibly hard against our champions, but he'll level up off these 2 melees, I think.
I'll believe it when I see it. Because... No. Maybe if there wasn't a Sejuani and a Braum, you know, maybe if they were a no CC and they had like a range support and a squishy jungler.
Agreed.
But the beefy boys don't die fast enough, and now Perkz is also a beefy boy, so it's just...
And he has no Merc Treads either. I think as soon as he gets stunned, he's dead. Doesn't have the Void Staff, does he? Yes, he does. So that's it. 3-item spike. TP behind instantly. Let's go fight, guys. The game's over if we don't win a fight now. I'm level 16.
Kassadin on the flank.
Can
Photon
they engage?
Pushing in the bottom lane. Photon with TP could look to come to the fight. Bit of poke here. The retreat now coming in. Ruby. Neon is the priority target. Leaping back to the safety of his teammates. Already the TP feels like it's fumbled. And Photon instantly going to find the stun to the backside. It's follow-up CC means Ruby's just getting taken up before the fight even starts. Big shield coming in. Might just be enough to buy them more space. Already Neon finding 1 kill. Triple pullback coming in from Evi. It's a huge, huge fight, but it does not mean anything. Evi with a heroic effort here on the backside, but Perkz leaping forward to take down Mersa. Vitality taking their time in the exchange. Evi might make it out, but this is Vitality's game.
Evi did so much work. Is he going to die? I think he is. One more spell, and he's going to fall. A lot of dashes.
No.
Taken down by Kaiser. Perkz is ending the game. They tried their best there, Heretics, at the end. They had to go for a Hail Mary fight, but it didn't work. Vitality just way too far ahead. They won one of the Dragon fights, but round 2 they lost, and then Vitality just ran away with it, got a Baron, and the game was over.
A game entirely decided around that Dragon Pit. Vitality will find their second win, 2-0 in the Winter Split of LEC 2023. Eventually.
Let them get the creeps, let them get the stats, let them farm it all, and then
plus farming. They gotta
get the Nexus. But, I mean, you think back to most of the Super Weeks that Vitality participated in last year, they went 0-3, 1-2 at best in those Super Weeks. Now already 2-0 in the first week of the 2023 season is fantastic for them.
And I think you're already seeing the team coordination. You know, when we talked to Perkz at the season kickoff event, he, I think, undersold the team's ability to communicate. It seems pretty solid, even if it is simple.
Yeah.
Very clear the players are very often on the same page, executing well across the board. And bow on tank junglers, not a bad look. Neon stepping up a bunch in this game as well. So
it's one of those things where if you can play carries to a certain level, playing tank should be kind of like a no-brainer. You know, it's just the easier version of how to play the role in a sense, right? So you're just more of a dog than you are a carry.
Wow.
You just have to take a step
just
back.
Taking down all the tank players.
Take a step back. But yeah, great performance so far. Like the draft a lot coming out of Vitality.
Liked it as well. We'll see how Heretics recover going to the match on Monday. The last little fist bumps, high fives.
What did he say?
He said something about quick shot.
Luca,
you want to come back and say whatever you just said again?
What? I couldn't hear what he said. I had the headset on. He said something.
Something about quick shot.
Yeah, I heard quick shot.
Something
quick shot. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. What does Luca mean? What is his secret wisdom? What is his secret success? We'll find out later.
I remember he had a secret that he didn't tell Jankos once in a game. That was funny. I think it was a clip. Perkz has a secret, but he won't tell.
It's true. Wonder if Jankos ever found out. For now, though, again, 3-day weeks every week. All these players, even if they had a difficult loss, do need now to recover and look ahead towards the next challenge waiting in front of them. But for Vitality, it's a happy day. Again, yesterday, super scrappy, super close game. Today, not nearly as much. Really good fight around the Dragon. Yes, Mersa did ultimately take that objective, but saw Vitality mitigate a lot of the early game pressure. And I think the things that we saw there is that the Kalista really didn't come to fruition outside of that single fight where she sort of popped off a bit. And then after that, the Kassadin did not have the same impact. So far, we're 0-2 on the Kassadin games. I believe it's strong because on paper it's strong and because I've seen players in other regions pop off with it. But so far, in the LEC, hasn't looked that great.
Player of the game.
LEC on Twitter.
LEC on Twitter. Bo, Perkz, and Neon. I think Neon had so much kind of... He had like a massive shield in front of him, and he was just like throwing arrows, shooting his gun.
Damage.
You couldn't touch him. You can't touch this. And yeah, great game from Vitality.
And speaking of the man who had that beefy front line in front of him doing so much damage, he's standing by with Laure to talk about that game.
Thank you, Drakos and Neon. Thank you so much for joining me. Congrats so far. Fantastic start for Vitality. Is this something you expected when you entered this week in the LEC?
Well, to be honest, I didn't know what to expect because it's like our first week, right? And we're like a little bit limited in terms of comms. But scrims have been going great, so I had good expectations, right? And so far we've been doing, I think, good for the start.
I can only agree. And when you think about the game yesterday and the one you played today, it feels like mid-game skirmishes were an issue for you guys yesterday. Already corrected on during this game. Is this something you've been working on? And what's your feeling towards this? What made it easier?
Yeah, I think yesterday it was a first game on stage for
sure.
For us, right? And for two of our players who have not been on the LEC stage yet. So I think it's only natural that our gameplay in terms of coherence wasn't the best. Today, I think we're more comfortable. We also like drafted and like played more as a team together. So that was good. Do you want me to talk about the Drake fight now, or like?
I mean, you're way ahead of me. Let's look at the fight now because everything went right for you guys. But this Drake fight especially was a bit messy on your end, and Jackspektra really popped up. Give me the Baron fight then. All right, thank you, production. Let's look at this one and talk me through communication and what happened during this fight.
Nice.
Bo,
can you go?
let's listen to Bo.
I will ult him. Wait me. We wait. Wait me, just wait me. Yeah.
Finish.
No, wait.
Okay. Kill him. Yeah, I know.
Nice.
Can I me?
I'm here.
Careful. I can't.
It's okay.
Oh, back.
They might chase.
I have heal.
It's okay.
I have ult. It's fine. Careful.
Good job.
I love the cohesion and synergy during this fight.
Well, so guys, as you can see, our comms are a little bit simple at the moment. It's just using very basic English words to get the idea across, right? So this is how we currently play. Both of our non-English speakers have like stepped up their English massively during the last 2 months. Like I'm actually very impressed by how fast they're picking up and learning. So I'm very confident that as the split progresses, we are going to be better in terms of communication and so better in team play as well.
And that's amazing to see, and that's something I was talking about with Kaiser yesterday, especially when it comes to Photon and Bo, as you said, progressing really fast when it comes to English. And we know that especially the jungle role is very central when it comes to communication. So tell me more about his impact and how much trust you have in him and how everything is going so far with you and Bo.
Yeah, so I mean, it goes without saying, but I'll say it again. I'm insanely impressed by Bo. I think it's probably the best player that I have ever played with in terms of raw mechanics, right? So I'm really also surprised by how good his comms are. Even though his English is not the best, he can still like communicate his game plan across and like make sure you're on the same page, which I'm really surprised by, right? Because like even though Bo, we all knew that was really good, right? Like I wasn't sure how good he would be in like a team environment, but so far I've been like very pleasantly surprised by how well he fits into the team, and I love playing with him. Like he's super nice, and I have a lot of fun playing with him. So, yeah.
It was a big question mark, especially when we saw what he was capable of in solo queue. Promising start so far from the side of Vitality, but a bit more about you, Neon. By the end of the year, a lot of people were saying, rightfully so, that you were underrated as an AD carry. How do you respond to that, and what are you hoping to achieve personally this year?
Well, once again, underrated, overrated. It's like who gets to judge? The only thing that I could judge myself by was my last year at Misfits, and I thought I did pretty well, so I think it was only deserved that I would get another shot in the LEC, and here I am, and I'm gonna try to do better than last year, and make it to Worlds with Vitality, and like carry them from, well, they're not so nice last year, so yeah.
As I said, promising start for the team and also for Union. Thank you so much for the interview. That's all for us on this side of the stage for now. We will be back in a couple minutes for Koi versus Excel. Stay tuned.